The apartment was a quiet little box, tucked away on the east side of Chicago, where the wind howled through the cracks in winter and the summer heat clung like a second skin. It was just me, Elise Harper, 42, and the hum of a fridge that groaned louder than it should. One bedroom, a sagging couch, a bathroom with a mirror I avoided. I'd lived alone for years, ever since my ex-husband Derek walked out. I didn't mind the solitude anymore. It was familiar, like the creak of the floorboards or the faint buzz of the city outside. I'd learned to cook, for one, eat for one, sleep for one. Life was predictable, and I liked it that way. Or at least I thought I did. Then my son Caleb came home from college, just for 2 weeks, he said. A quick break from his sophomore year at Michigan State. I hadn't seen him since Christmas, and when he texted me about coming home, my heart did a little flip. Caleb was my anchor, the one person who made the quiet feel less heavy. We'd always been closer than most mothers and sons. I think when he was little, we'd spend Saturday mornings making pancakes, laughing over spilled batter. As he grew older, we'd share blankets during movie nights, his head resting on my shoulder. It was pure, innocent, the kind of bond that felt unbreakable. So when he chose to spend his spring break with me instead of jetting off with friends, I didn't question it. I just cleaned the apartment, stocked the fridge with his favorites: blueberries, oat milk, those sugary yogurts he pretended to hate, and waited. But something shifted when he walked through the door. Caleb wasn't the lanky kid I'd dropped off at college. He was taller now, broader, his jaw sharper, his voice deeper, his eyes, though those were the same, soft and thoughtful, like he was always piecing together a puzzle no one else could see. He dropped his duffel bag by the couch and flashed that sheepish grin I'd known since he was 6. "I'll just crash here," he said, patting the couch like it wasn't a torture device for his back. I laughed, waving him off. "No way. This is your home too." I couldn't let him sleep on that thing. It sagged in the middle, creaked with every move. Besides, Caleb had dealt with back pain as a kid, and I still remembered the nights I'd rubbed his shoulders until he fell asleep. The bed was big enough for both of us, I told myself. We'd shared it before when he was younger, during storms or after nightmares. It was no big deal. That first night, I lay awake, staring at the wall, listening to the rhythm of his breathing. His leg brushed mine under the covers, just for a second, and my body tensed. Not because I was afraid of him, I could never be, but because of me. Something inside me flickered, something I didn't want to name. I squeezed my eyes shut, willing sleep to come, but my mind kept drifting back to a night I'd tried to forget. It was the summer before Caleb left for college. We were sprawled on the couch, watching some cheesy 90s rom-com, me curled up against him, his arm around my waist. It was how we always watched movies, cozy and close. But that night, I felt his body shifting, pressing against me, a hardness I couldn't ignore. He didn't move away. I didn't either. We stayed there, silent, the TV flickering, until the credits rolled. The next morning, he acted like nothing had happened, and I let myself believe I'd imagined it. But now, with him back in my bed, the memory clung to me like damp clothes. I'm Elise Harper, and this is my story. It's not an easy one to tell. It's messy, raw, and full of things I'm not proud of. This story touches on complicated family ties, grief, loneliness, and choices that blur the lines of right and wrong. If that makes you uncomfortable, I understand if you want to click away, but if you stay, know that I'm not hiding anymore. I'm laying it all bare, not for sympathy, but because silence has already cost me too much. And if this story resonates with you, please hit that like button, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to Broken Vows for more stories that cut deep. Trust me, there's more to unravel. I work as a medical coder at a hospital downtown. Long hours, endless charts, phone calls that never stop. I'm good at it, reliable, precise. The kind of person who dots every I and crosses every T. I don't make waves. I haven't since Derek left. 10 years ago. He was a charmer, with a laugh that could light up a room until it didn't. We were married for 7 years, and I thought we'd weather any storm. But one night, he looked at me across the kitchen table and said, "I don't love you anymore." Just like that. He packed a bag, kissed Caleb's forehead, and walked out. I was left with a toddler, a mortgage, and a heart that felt like it had been carved out with a dull knife. I didn't cry in front of Caleb. I couldn't. I hardened instead, the kind of heart that builds slowly. Quietly, you learn to smile through grocery store meltdowns, to breathe through the ache of an empty bed, to pretend you're fine when no one calls to check on you. Caleb became my everything. I raised him alone, no help, no handouts. We built a world together, Saturday pancakes, rainy day movies, late-night talks about his dreams and heartbreaks. He was my confidant, my best friend. I thought our bond was beautiful, a rare gift. But, looking back, I wonder if I leaned on him too much, if I blurred the lines long before that night in my bed. Caleb showed up 2 days early, catching an earlier bus because a professor canceled class. I opened the door, and there he was, his hoodie slung over one shoulder, his smile bright but tired. I hugged him, and for a moment, he was my little boy again. But when I pulled back, I felt the difference. His frame was solid, his scent sharper, less like the kid who used to smell of crayons and grass. We laughed it off, settled in, ordered pizza. I tried to keep things normal, but the air felt charged, like the moment before a storm. That night, I insisted he take the bed. "We'll share," I said, keeping my voice light. He hesitated, then nodded, his eyes lingering on me a beat too long. I brushed it off, told myself I was overthinking. But as we lay there, side by side, the space between us felt alive, humming with something I couldn't name. I faced the wall, my heart pounding, every nerve on edge. His breathing slowed, and I told myself it was fine. We were just mother and son, sharing a bed, like we had 100 times before. But deep down, I knew something was off. The next few days were a blur of normalcy, or at least my attempt at it. I cooked his favorite meals. We watched old sitcoms. We talked about his classes, his friends, the girl he'd been texting but wasn't sure about. It felt good, familiar, until it didn't. There were moments his hand brushing mine as we reached for the same dish. The way he'd look at me when he thought I wasn't noticing that made my stomach twist. I told myself it was nothing, that I was projecting my own loneliness onto him. But the truth was, I felt seen in a way I hadn't in years, and that scared me. One night the city was quiet, rain tapping softly against the windows. We were lying in bed, both staring at the ceiling, the room lit by a single lamp that cast warm shadows across the walls. I don't know why I started talking, but the words spilled out before I could stop them. I told him about Lila, my best friend from college, the one who'd been there through everything, my pregnancy, Caleb's birth, the night Derek didn't come home. Lila was my rock, until I found out she was the reason Derek was gone. A voicemail. Left by mistake, her voice soft and intimate, talking about a night I hadn't known about. I played it over and over, sitting on the bathroom floor, the world collapsing around me. I told Caleb how it broke me, how I stopped trusting, how I blamed myself for not being enough. He turned toward me, his eyes steady, intense. "You didn't deserve that," he said, his voice low. "You deserve someone who sees you, who chooses you every day." His words hit me like a wave, warm and heavy, filling a void I'd ignored for years. I should have laughed, changed the subject, but I didn't. I lay there, soaking it in, my chest tight with something I didn't want to name. From then on, we talked more, stayed up later, shared things I hadn't told anyone. He told me about his fears, his dreams, the pressure of being on his own. I told him about the nights I ate cereal for dinner, alone, the silence so loud it hurt. We were inching closer, not just physically, but emotionally, and I could feel it a pull, dangerous and unspoken, growing between us. Then came the storm. It hit on a Thursday, the kind of storm that shakes the windows and makes the world feel fragile. The power went out just after 10, plunging the apartment into darkness. I was in the kitchen, reaching for a glass, when the tchki lights flickered and died. Caleb's voice came from the living room, calm but alert. "You okay, Mom?" I said I was fine, but my voice shook. We lit candles, 3 tea lights on the dresser, a half-burned pillar on the nightstand. The room glowed amber, shadows dancing across the ceiling. I'd already changed into an old t-shirt and underwear. Nothing unusual. Caleb had showered, his hair damp, his hoodie and boxers clinging to his frame. We lay down, closer than usual, the storm making the room colder, the air heavier. I don't know why I didn't pull away when he reached for me. His hand rested on my waist, light at first, tentative. Then he pulled me closer, my back pressing against his chest, his breath warm against my neck. My heart raced, but I didn't move. It felt safe, comforting. Until it didn't, I felt his heartbeat quicken. His hips settled against mine, and I knew he was awake. So was I. In the flicker of candlelight, in the thick, storm-charged air, something broke open between us. It wasn't a kiss that started it. It was silence, the kind that speaks louder than words. I turned slightly, just enough to meet his eyes. And that was it. His lips found mine, hesitant, slow, like he was testing a boundary he wasn't sure he could cross. And I kissed him back. It wasn't passionate or rushed. It was quiet, gentle, heavy with everything we hadn't said. When I pulled away, my voice trembled. "We can't," I whispered. "I'm your he. Cut me off." Not with another kiss, but with words that sank deep. "You're lonely," he said, "and so am I." There was no defense left in me. The rain pounded harder, the candles flickered, and we moved together, slowly, silently, like every touch might shatter the world. I didn't stop it. I let it happen. And in that moment, I knew I was crossing a line I could never uncross. Morning came like a punch to the gut. No sunlight, just a gray that seeped into everything. I woke first, my body aching in quiet ways. My back, my hips, the space between my ribs. Caleb was still asleep, his face soft, almost boyish. I felt sick, not because of him, but because I didn't know who I was anymore. I slid out of bed, splashed cold water on my face, tried to ground myself. When Caleb woke, he moved through the morning like nothing had changed, made coffee, cracked eggs, asked if I still liked oat milk. I stood there watching him whisk yolks, his hands steady, and I wanted to scream. Did he know what we'd done? Did he understand the weight of it? But I said nothing, just stared at the plate he set in front of me. Eggs, toast, the crust cut off, like when he was little. I couldn't eat. I couldn't look at him. That day dragged on, heavy and slow. I wrapped myself in a blanket, sat on the couch, stared at nothing. Caleb went for a walk, said he needed air. I didn't ask where he was going. I needed him gone. As soon as the door clicked shut, I grabbed my laptop typing. Words I couldn't say out loud. Shame after crossing boundaries. Emotional confusion after inappropriate intimacy. Can a parent recover from a mistake? The articles I found burned psychology forms, anonymous confessions, every word a mirror I wasn't ready to face. I opened a therapist's book and form, one I'd saved years ago when my friend Mara pushed me to try therapy. My fingers hovered over the keyboard. What would I say? Hi, I'm Elise, a single mom, and I made a mistake I can't undo. I closed the laptop, curled, into the couch, and let the silence swallow me. That night, we didn't eat dinner. The TV flickered, but I didn't watch it. Caleb sat beside me, not touching, not speaking. It felt like a standoff, but neither of us knew the rules. Then he spoke, his voice cutting through the quiet. "I've felt something for you for years," he said, not just as a mom, something more. My throat tightened, my hands clenched. "I didn't understand it at first," he went on. "But when I'm with you, I feel whole." I turned to him, my voice sharp. "This isn't love," I said. "This is loneliness. Grief. Two broken people mistaken warmth for something it's not." He looked away, and, in that silence, I knew we'd gone too far to go back. The next morning, Mara showed up unannounced, holding 2 coffees. Her usual drop-by before work. I froze, the bedroom door ajar. Caleb's sweatshirt slung over the couch, his shoes by the door. Right on cue. He called from the bedroom, sleepy and casual. "Hey, Mom, you want oatmeal again?" Mara's eyes flicked toward the voice, then back to me. Her smile faltered, just for a second, but it was enough. She handed me the coffees, turned, and left without a word. The silence she left behind was deafening. After that, I unraveled. I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. Every noise made me flinch. Every glance from Caleb made my stomach churn. I deleted my social media, canceled work meetings, called in sick. I couldn't face the world with this secret burning inside me. I tried to talk to Caleb, to tell him it wasn't right, that my head was spinning, but he shrugged. "It was just comfort," he said. "Don't make it bigger than it is." His words cut deep, reducing me to a placeholder, a moment of warmth in a cold world. In desperation, I called Derek. It had been years since we'd spoken, but I needed something familiar, something safe. He answered, dishes clinking in the background. A woman's laughter. "What do you want?" he asked, impatient. I whispered. "I made a mistake." He sighed, his voice cold. "You always did create chaos when things got too quiet." I wanted to scream, to defend myself, but I couldn't. He hung up, and I was alone again, his words echoing. Maybe I was unstable. Maybe I always had been. When Caleb left for school, I didn't see him off. I sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the floor as he zipped his duffel. He paused at the door, looked at me, but said nothing. "Text me when you land," I said, my voice flat. "Yeah," he replied, and he was gone. An hour later, my phone buzzed. "No matter what happened, I still love you." I stared at the message, tears blurring my eyes, but I didn't reply. I didn't know what that love meant anymore. It took 3 days to call a therapist. Dr. Nora Blake's voice was calm, steady, enough to keep me talking. I booked a session, then another, in her office on a pale blue couch. I let the words slip out, piece by piece, not all of them, not at first, but enough. I told her about the loneliness, the silence I'd mistaken for peace, the way being seen felt like a gift until it became a weapon. "I let someone too close," I said. She nodded, waited. "And you're still here," she said. I exhaled. The weight lifted in just a fraction. I've learned things about myself I never wanted to know. Loneliness can blur lines. Grief can masquerade as love. And a longing for connection can twist into something dangerous if you don't tend to it. I'm not defined by that night, but I'm shaped by how I face it. I'm still learning what forgiveness looks like, forgiving myself. Some days, I think it's possible. Others, I'm not so sure. I'm sharing this because I know I'm not alone. Maybe you've crossed a line you can't uncross. Maybe you're carrying a secret that burns. I want to hear from you. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Be honest, but be kind. If this story hit you, hit that like button. Share it with someone you trust and subscribe to Broken Vows. We're not defined by our worst moments, but by how we confront them. Thank you for listening. Let's keep these stories alive.